Welcome back to Untitled-2 podcast. My name is Connor.
And I'm Ash.
And this week we're going to talk about something a bit different. We've been saying a few times that we wanted to do some episodes where we'd like research something that was kind of interesting. And then sort of talk about it.
I was writing something down.
Yeah.
I was a shit host and I apologise.
And I think it's especially interesting if it's something that one of us doesn't know.
Aye.
And then we can talk about it. And then one of us is informed and can introduce it, and the other one can be like, oh, that's interesting. What about this?
The other person gets woke.
So this is something I made. We had to do an awareness campaign in uni, second year. And...
could you choose anything, or was it like...
Yeah, you could choose anything, and obviously everybody were doing, deforestation and kids dying in Africa and...
Typical shit.
Yeah, and I wanted to do something a bit different, and at the time something was happening in Japan that sort of brought my attention that direction, which we'll get onto later. But because of that, I wanted to... Well, I wanted to talk about this thing that I'll get onto later, but I also, when I was researching that, I discovered that it was part of a much bigger thing in Japan that I never even knew about. Like, I'm not going to lie, I was rather ignorant about this. But again, we're in the Western world. We're not really going to hear about it unless it affects us. So this is a thing called Karoshi.
Karoshi?
Is a Japanese word which actually means death by overworking.
Wow.
And we don't have a word for that because we don't generally
just call it work.
Yeah, we don't we don't generally tend to work people to death, but
we just work them until they die.
Yeah.
Until they're old.
There's sort of like a mysticism around Japan, especially in like the weeaboo culture. That Japan is this awesome place and everything's so happy and colourful and, anime. But actually Japan's a pretty depressing place. There's a lot of people that have moved there because they love anime and thought the world was going to be like that anime that they loved, and then it turns out it's a nightmare.
Remember that TV show where it was two Japanese lads?
I know you could talk about it. Yeah.
Who just went around to these fucking weeaboos that had moved there and just bullied the shit out of them.
Yeah, because the weeaboos were like, oh, I'm in Japan, I know all about your culture, like dancing to J-pop and stuff. And, and these two normal Japanese guys were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah. Where are you getting this from? Like, as it turns out, the sort of weeaboo culture, even in Japan, isn't mainstream.
Yeah, they get frowned upon, don't they?
Yeah.
I forgot what they call them. Otakus.
Yeah.
It's not very cool to be an otaku.
Yeah, exactly. So, Karoshi affects salarymen. Salaryman is a white-collar worker, like a businessman, wears a suit to work, works in an office.
I know what salaryman is.
And generally they would dedicate their entire life to working for one company. And that company is their life. It's expected of them that company and their work means more to them than their family, than their spare time, anything. Like, it's generally men as well, because they still have that sort of sexist system in Japan where the woman stays at home, looks after the family, looks after the house, so that the man can work non-stop until he dies.
It's not a funny video where it was from an old anime from like the 80s, and there's this housewife and she's like monologuing, she's like, I've been married for a while now. My husband's starting to come home later and later, and his husband comes home and she's all like, oh, would you like to have a bath? Would you like to have food? Or would you like to take a shit? And he's all like, I'll have a bath. And then she sat by the bath while he's bathing. And then she's all like, would you like to have food now? Or would you like to take a shit? And he's all like, I'll have food. And while he's eating, she asks him again, like, would you like to take a shit now? And he gets proper angry. He's all like, I shit outside. And then she says something and he's all like, damn it, woman, I'll shit where I want to.
What the fuck?
I don't know if that was like, if someone had just wrote those subs down as a joke, but it was absolutely hilarious.
Generally, a salaryman will work 70 to 80 hours a week.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a lot of hours.
I'd kill myself like day one.
So the biggest problem about this, I guess subjectively, is that 1/3 of all salarymen are employed under a temporary contract. On a temporary contract, they don't get any work benefits, they don't get healthcare, they don't get any job security, and they're paid less than a normal employee, which obviously that allows the company to just exploit them. Like they'll say, "Oh, if you work for us and you work hard, we'll give you a promotion."
Yeah.
But they pay them less, so that, yeah.
It makes total sense now why Japan always walk around with those face masks on in public. Because if anyone gets sick, mate, and they can't, they can't go to work.
No, yeah, that's exactly
fucked.
it. Yeah. I think that's more common in Korea, but I don't know anything about Korean culture. I don't know how close it is to like the work. Yeah.
Weak ankles up there, Sid.
So these temporarily employed I just heard what you said. These temporarily employed salarymen, there's actually a word in Japan for that as well.
Yeah.
Which is baito.
Okay.
It's Baito in Romanji.
Baito.
Yeah. They'll work for the same company for years, and it'll be under the premise that they'll get a promotion, basically. But they'll never get promoted.
Just on the deathbed, and the manager comes in and is like, "You're promoted," and then he dies 5 minutes later.
Yeah. So because the baito don't want to damage their ties to the company and damage their chances of promotion, they'll do literally anything. So they'll lie about how long they've been working. They'll lie about all the unpaid overtime that they're doing, which is on top of 70 to 80 hours a week.
How many hours in a week is there?
I don't know, but you'll be surprised at how many hours some of these people will work in a week. So yeah, they'll just try and prove themselves and hopefully be promoted to a full-time employee.
I'm gonna Google hours in a week.
Right. Okay. That'll be good for this. For the statistics I've got. Also, they won't take their mandatory vacation days, but when somebody asks them if they've taken them, they'll just say yeah.
168 hours in a week.
Wow.
And they're working 80 hours a week.
With overtime.
Yep.
There's a really good video about this on YouTube.
The one that you made?
No, not the one that I made. That's private anyway, because it's just so I could hand it in for uni. It's by a guy called Stu in Tokyo, and it's a really good video. You should watch it. Basically, he decides to work as a salaryman for a week.
Okay. And
he records the process and like his mentality and stuff. He works for 78 hours in that 1 week. He does 13 hours a day.
Yeah.
On average. Like sometimes it's 13.5, sometimes it's like 12. And obviously you can see him getting more and more exhausted.
Yeah.
He doesn't sleep as much as he should. When he gets home, he just has a pot noodle and goes to sleep, and then wakes up and goes to work. Yeah, and he has like 20 minutes in the morning.
I just ran the numbers.
Yeah.
And assuming that they get a regular 8 hours, sleep a day.
Yeah.
It's 56 hours a week, right? Plus the 8 hours they're working without overtime. That leaves 32 hours in the week for personal time.
Yeah, exactly. There's no time at all. Despite how little free time they have, they're expected to socialise with their employees after work, like go to bars and stuff. That's why there's this stigma about Japan being a perverted place, but it's because these bars are like working harder and harder, and like cafes and restaurants working harder and harder to be the place where all these Japanese salarymen want to go, so they'll get maids dressed in skimpy outfits and stuff like that. And there is like a really sexualized overhaul of everything just to try and prey to the needs of the salarymen who don't even have time to go home and fuck their wife.
If they've even got time to get a wife.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the reason why they're expected to go and socialise with employees instead of going home and getting sleep and having some food and shit is because if you're if the only time that you're not in work, you're with your co-workers, then you're just always talking about work. Your frame of mind is always work. You're always in that work environment. You're always in work mode, so that you never really get back to the normal, like to a normal life, and then realize, holy shit, my life sucks.
Yeah. Do you have the statistic for how many men in Japan are, salarymen?
I don't.
That'd be a nice number to have.
It would have. I'm sorry.
Because this can't be like
it's not everyone.
Not everyone.
No, I'll get to a bit later about like the stigma around that and expectations and stuff. So they'll do a company review, like an employee review, and part of that employee review is how well you socialize with the people around you. So it's like you have to do that, or you're hurting your chances of keeping your job or being promoted from Baito. So,
wow,
pretty fucked up. Yeah, this keeps our life work related at all times.
So they get in a week, right, the same amount of hours to enjoy themselves potentially as we have to work in a week for it to be considered like full time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fucking mental. That's the complete opposite, polarizing as shit.
Yeah. So I said earlier, but it's part of the culture to value work over everything, including family. Young men who don't adopt this lifestyle as early as possible, like work really hard in school, work really hard in college, work really hard in uni, and then get into a job as soon as possible, are looked down upon. But to add pressure to this, people don't only judge the person who's not adopting this culture and working hard for the betterment of the motherland. They'll judge the family as well, because it's a failure of on the family, on the parents, for not drilling it into the kid's head that he has to become a salaryman. So they're deemed as not being as valuable as a human being as salarymen. Yeah,
insane.
But it's weird because these conditions. This is like in America. If you're a soldier, if you do like a year at war and you come back, you're respected by everyone. Everyone says, "Oh, thank you for your service" and everything like that. But I can't imagine you would see that in Japan. Like a salaryman walks by and you're like, "Oh, arigato."
Gozaimasu.
Yeah.
No, like in America, you don't have to go to war. You just have to be a soldier.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, "Oh, you're a hero." And he's like, "Really? All I did was train for a year."
Yeah. So yeah, that's weird that people expect them to do that. Well, no, I guess that's why they don't thank them for it, because they're expected to do it.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. When I get off the bus, I don't thank the bus driver because it's his job.
No, I do. I always do. When I was in school, I got taken up at the front of an assembly, given like a bag of chocolate and like an award for being the kid that always said thank you to the dinner ladies, because apparently it was a big problem that nobody said thank you to the dinner ladies.
Do you know that there's a forest in Japan?
Yeah,
where people got to kill themselves.
Forest, yeah.
I would love to know how many of the bodies they found and identified were salarymen.
Yeah, that would be an interesting statistic. Consider a failure of not just them, but the whole family. Yeah, the average working week for a Westerner is 48 hours.
Yeah. If
you work 9 to 5, and that includes a Saturday. So if you're doing 9 to 5 every day, including Saturday, that's 48 hours. And that's average. For a salaryman, this is 30 hours more in a week, Monday to Saturday, which doesn't include the unpaid overtime that they're all doing. So the equation is exhaustion plus ridiculous working hours plus extra unpaid overtime plus not getting enough sleep equals death by overworking, which in Japan is Karoshi. The three main causes of death with Karoshi are strokes, heart attacks, and suicide.
Obviously.
Yeah. There are over...
Do you know which one's the biggest one, or is it suicide?
I don't think suicide is the biggest one.
Shocking.
Yeah. Yeah. Suicide is actually probably the smallest one.
No fucking way, mate.
Well, because people don't get a chance to stop and think about it and be like, shit, my life sucks.
They're just working away on the spreadsheet. He's like, I wish I had time to kill myself.
Yeah, exactly. So, everybody knows that Japan has a ridiculously high suicide rate anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not even because of Karoshi. Like, the suicide rate is mostly unrelated to Karoshi, but Karoshi is a big part of it. There are over 30,000 suicides a year in Japan.
Okay, now.
And 8,000 of these are presumably, like, there's no actual way to calculate it, are Karoshi related.
It's 30,000 doesn't sound, that big when you like think of like our country or America. Cause
Yeah, but they have a small,
but they live on
island.
a very small, thin little sliver of land. That's fucking mental.
So the suicide rate in Japan is twice the suicide rate in the US, and the US is 65 times larger than Japan.
Wow.
Yeah.
The suicide rates in the US are on the rise anyway, aren't they? For some reason.
Well, yeah. Well, I should clarify that I should have said this at the start, but I don't know that much about Japanese culture. This is all based on research.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to presume to know a lot about Japanese culture, because that's a bit of a meme that people think they know what Japan's like. Also, most of this research I did 2 years ago, and even then, the data that I found was like 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah.
So things could have changed. Yeah, it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot better. So.
I don't think it's going to be a lot better. Going off this, mate.
Well, there are some light-hearted shit to come, so... So yeah, since the 1970s, the number of Karoshi deaths in Japan has increased every year.
Wow.
Yeah, because companies are more competitive with each other.
Yeah.
So obviously companies are working harder to beat down the opposition, so they overwork their employees even more. So I've got a case study here from 2002. Toyota received a lot of media attention because one of their employees, Kenichi Uchino, died only 30 years old.
Wow.
He'd worked 80 extra underpaid overtime hours a month on top of the 80-hour a week. So I worked this out at like 98 hours a week.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And he did that for 6 months until he obviously had a heart attack.
Fucking hell.
6 months doing that every week. Because of this, and because they got media attention, like, I'm sure if the media didn't notice, they wouldn't have given a shit. They promised, like, I think they actually had their promise notaried, that they would pay all overtime hours, which was a huge deal because nobody was doing this.
Yeah. And
also monitor employee health.
Okay.
So, like, I think once a month you have to go for a checkup with a resident doctor.
Don't they also, I don't know if it's every like employer in Japan, but a lot of them, when before they start the work day, they all go in a big room and do exercises and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's part of it because they in Japan you have to pay taxes for any overweight employees.
Yeah, that's because it's like I read about
because it's dragging the whole country down.
It's not technically illegal to be fat in Japan. Yeah, but there is some. Like, if you're an employer and you've got an employee that's getting a bit fat, you've got to pay extra taxes. Yeah. So it's kind of like a ban on being overweight. That's
exactly.
Not like...
Because you're more productive if you're not overweight, so they have like an exercise session in the morning.
Aren't they one of the... They've got like the least amount of fat people in any country ever.
Yeah, well, I've got a statistic later about the life expectancy, so... another case, which is a lot more recent, which was in 2012, which grabbed everyone's attention, was Mina Minori. I couldn't find where she worked, but she collapsed dead at only 26. That's like 3 years older than us.
3 years older than you, 2 years older than me.
Are you 24 now?
I'm 24
now.
now.
Jesus Christ.
How do you not know? How old are you, Connor?
I'm 23.
And how many years?
Yeah, but sometimes it goes out of sync because, like, I'll have my birthday and then...
Oh, well, okay, whatever.
She worked 140 unpaid overtime hours a month. That's 113 hours a week.
Wow.
Yeah. That's insane. So, what was it, like 50-something hours you'd need for a normal sleep cycle?
About 56, yeah.
Yeah, so she would only have like less than 40 hours. No, yeah, just over 40 hours to eat and sleep.
Jesus. You see that, like, that 40 hours as well includes, like, commute time, like, to and back and forth from, you know, the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably, like, that'll, you know how they've always got to, like, go out and communicate with the...
Yeah, socialise and stuff, yeah.
So that eats into that 40 hours. Which means she's only going to have, like, maybe an hour a day or something stupid to, like, shower, wash clothes, eat, and then fucking go to sleep.
Yeah. So she just collapsed at work. She was only 26. And she was pushing herself that hard because she wanted full-time employment or didn't want to lose her job or something.
So when they get full-time employment, do they get to, like, reel back the hours drastically to, like, a normal, like...
Well, no, because they're still scared they're going to lose their job if they don't push themselves as hard as they can.
So why do you want to be employed? You don't improve your life.
I don't know. It's all part of the culture, mate. It might seem ridiculous to us, but...
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time believing that anyone aspires to be a salaryman.
Yeah, but this is all the pressure in it.
Yeah, like...
you just feel like you're not
But, I mean, being pressured into it doesn't mean you aspire to be it.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't think a kid learns about Karoshi and is like, yeah, that's what I want.
I wonder if they actually teach about Karoshi.
They fucking should.
Because it does seem like most companies try and act like it's not even a thing.
Well, it's totally a thing. It needs to be taught.
So, families who have lost somebody to Karoshi, which is usually a mother and her children, will try and get compensation from the companies for what they've done. This has been a difficult battle for many, many, many years. In 1988, only about 4% of Karoshi cases successfully turned out compensation. 4%.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the bigger number.
Well,
is it coming or has it gone down?
In 2005, this was raised to 40%.
Oh, thank God.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty.
That's really.
It's not as good
10
as it
times
should be.
in like 20 years. So, in order to combat this, my phone just locked this off. Japanese governments put in place laws. I couldn't find the date when they did this, but it's to limit how many hours a person can work in a day. I think I remember it being
limited to 24.
I think I remember it being in like 2013 or 14 when they implemented this law. So there's a limit how many hours you can work in a single day, but companies get around this by encouraging employees to lie, saying, because obviously there'll be checks with the company.
Yeah.
And I think they have to, like, every month fill out a report how many hours they've worked and have they been taking their vacation days and stuff like that. So they lie about it because they'll think that they'll lose their job if they don't, or they'll think they'll get promoted.
It's not that they think that. They fucking probably would. If everyone else is saying, like, oh yeah, I've only worked like this many hours, but then you got that one guy who's brutally honest, who's like, no, I've worked exactly this many hours.
Yeah, and I'm dying.
they're gonna fire that guy.
Yeah, exactly. So companies don't tend to help employees with mental or emotional distress. Obviously, this whole thing boils down to that. But they're worried that if they at any point go to an employee and say, "Hey, you look like you're having a heart attack. Can we help you out? Can we make you feel more comfortable?" That is admission of guilt, and they don't want to admit that it's a problem. That admits that they're liable, and they also don't want to draw media attention to the issue because they just want to keep it on the down low. They don't want it to affect business. Like, I'm sure they're just like, oh, just one more month, and we'll beat Toyota. Meanwhile, 7 employees have just died.
Yeah.
So yeah. Because nobody acknowledges it, depression is just part of the lifestyle. It's just normal. Nobody questions it. It's just like, oh, you're a salaryman? No, you must be depressed. Ironically, Japan has one of the highest life expectancy rates in the world. Japan's life expectancy is 83 years.
Yeah, for anyone who's not a salaryman.
Yeah, most likely. America's life expectancy is 78. And
really?
Yeah, and the UK life expectancy...
I didn't like how high my voice got then. I was genuinely surprised by that.
The UK life expectancy is 80. So it's like a happy medium between salarymen killing themselves and overweight people killing themselves.
I mean, America gets a bad rep for, what is it, like 65% of their population, or at least last I checked, was like obese.
Yeah.
So for them to reach, like, was it 78?
Yeah.
Good on America.
Yeah. Japan, unsurprisingly, also have the lowest unemployment rate in the world. Japan's is 4%, meanwhile the UK and the US have an unemployment rate of 7.5%.
Wow.
So, but obviously there's a lot of stigma around being unemployed in Japan. So.
Yeah. What do they call them? NEETs. Not in education.
Employment or training.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand my notes. Attempts are clearly being made to reduce the threat because it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
That's quite obvious from what I've seen. So yeah.
So salarymen, are they like? Is it considered like a low skill job?
I don't know, because nothing I could find would really define the job. I think that guy who had a heart attack, Kenichi Uchino from Toyota, I don't think he was an office worker.
Right.
I think he was a factory worker, which I think applies as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
So basically, your only hope in Japan is that you get a skill that you can, market, like a decent skill, like, become an animator or, something like that.
Mm-mm.
No?
No, we're about to get onto that. Just to bring it home, just to bring it into our world.
Are you going to ruin, I don't watch much anime now, but are you about to ruin anime for me forever? Are you going to tell me that all the happiest animes I've ever watched have been shrouded
it's
in
not
depression?
anime related.
Okay.
You'll actually know what I'm talking about as soon as I say like one word, but I just wanted to pause for a minute because I saw a video the other day and I sent it to you, and it was posed as this ridiculous thing, which was this like hologram. It was like Alexa, but it had a hologram of a animated girl in it.
It was Alexa, if Alexa could have a hologram of your waifu.
And the video was like this really beautiful thing, like she was messaging you when you're at work and saying, "Oh, are you coming home yet?" And like she was like way too excited to see you when you came home.
Yeah.
And it was posed in the worst way. It was like, "Oh God, oh Japan, you're so crazy," and stuff like that. But because I'd done this research, I was like, that is like the best idea ever.
Plus, every kid, every male kid, has gone through that fucking phase where they just want a cute sci-fi like AI wife.
Yeah, but I think that's brilliant because this is hard enough for men who have a family. But imagine you're doing all that, and then you go home and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
But you do all that, and then you go home and there is somebody there, albeit AI, but she's still like the happiest person in the world to see that you've come home.
Yeah.
That must help so much.
Yeah,
like
very does.
An insane amount. I think that's a brilliant idea.
They should just hand them out to every person they join in the company. Like, here you go, this is essential.
Exactly.
Keep it fucking plugged in at all times.
And they're like do interviews with them to see if they're liable for a little hologram waifu. And they're like, do you have a wife? And they're like, no, okay, take one. Do you have a wife? Yeah, but she's a bit of a bitch. Okay, take one.
I like to think the questions are a bit more vague, like, if you were going to hang yourself, what thickness rope would you get? And if they answer correctly, it's like, right, just take this now.
Yeah. Jesus.
How much do you weigh? 156 kilograms? How many pills would you have to take to kill you outright? And if they're like, oh, exactly this amount, I have to cut this pill in half to make sure it's perfect.
Yeah.
Just like throw it at the face, like, go home now.
Yeah. So yesterday we were watching a Hot Ones interview with Georgie. / Pink Guy / Filthy Frank from YouTube on the First We Feast channel.
Yeah.
Which is really good. I know you're a huge fan and you try to get me to watch it for ages. And
it's brilliant. It's genius.
It is genius, like interviewing celebrities while they're crying from spicy hot sauce.
You can watch that shit on TV, you can watch it on YouTube, just some guy asking celebrity questions. But when you had a gimmick like eating increasingly hotter fucking chili sauces...
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a fucking genius idea.
But
Sean Evans. Shout out Sean Evans.
Yeah. in that interview, Georgie, he said that he used to live in Japan,
Yeah.
which I think people already knew. And they were talking about like the stigma around and misunderstandings about Japanese culture and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things was that sexual harassment is a big problem.
Yeah,
but then when you look at this and see how much free time that they have, and they don't get to see the wives, and whenever they go out to socialise, they're surrounded by sexualised women. The country is practically breeding that type of mentality itself.
Whenever I watched an anime or I was just browsing certain areas of the internet and, hentai came up, and it was like a schoolgirl goes on a train and she gets groped by a guy and ends up getting fucked by 10 different guys discreetly on a train. I was like, fuck off, that shit doesn't happen.
But of course it does.
And then obviously I got older and I realised it did.
Yeah.
But can you imagine how shit it'd be, right? I mean, it's already shit being a salaryman, but like, have you seen those videos where the train stations hire guys whose sole job
their only job is
just
to cram people in.
So like, not only you've only had like 3 hours sleep and a shit meal the day before, you've got up super early, and then this guy comes along and just fucking shoves you in a train.
Yeah, exactly.
Packed in with a million other people, and then some fucking gay old pervert grabs your ass or your dick on the way to the fucking office.
On the other side of the coin, though, like I'm not saying it's not really bad for the women and girls in Japan. I understand that is a huge problem. I'm not trying to play that down at all. But also, when you think about the sexual frustration that most of these men are beating, and then some attractive young girl is just pressed against you for an entire train ride.
Yeah, do you think that's why the sex dolls are a big thing in Japan?
Yeah, probably.
Do you reckon that's why they're totally comfortable with like lollies and making them all fucking in super seductive situations in anime and whatnot?
Well, I think it's kind of
trying to recapture the youth because they're now salarymen. Well,
I think it's kind of a smart thing to just offer that up, because when you make something taboo, it makes people want to do it.
Yeah. But
I reckon there's a lot less paedophiles in Japan just because you can go watch an anime with a little girl in it. Does that make sense? Am I being weird right now?
No, I mean, I don't think it's definitely a.
It's not as simple as that, but
very grey area.
But it can't hurt. Well, it can.
There was this anime, right? I'm sure people know about it. I've never watched it, but it's infamous on the internet because it's about a school teacher, a male school teacher in his like 20s or 30s or something like that, and it's a elementary school like type thing, like a nursery, and so the girls are like maybe like 7 years old or something like that. And they fall in love with him and they like do really perverted shit around him and whatnot. And it's supposed to be like a slice of life like comedy thing, but it's not relatable at all because that shit don't fly over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I forgot what it's called. G-Can or something like that.
Right. Well, my point is that if they normalise it like that, I don't know. I don't think it's enabling people. I think it's just it's not taboo.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the thing in like paedophile psychology is that they shouldn't be doing it, and that excites them.
I don't know.
I mean, it's different for every pedo, I'm sure. This is a really weird subject, and I don't want to throw myself in hot water by saying the wrong thing. But
weird tangent.
I think there's a reason for the over-sexualization in Japan, and it's both to combat molestation, and it's also aiding molestation. So there's
double-edged sword.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point, but poorly worded.
Do you think it's a bit weird how Japan is simultaneously perverted, but also they have a very strong emphasis on keeping your like honor and stuff? Because you see it all the time in like anime and shit, where a girl gets walked in on while she's changing, and she's like, "Oh no, I could never get a husband now," but then she immediately gets changed back into her school clothes where she's got a super short skirt and her fucking midriff's all exposed and whatnot. It's weird.
Yeah. Just enough about that. I think we'll go away from that.
The perversions.
So, as promised, I'm going to bring this full circle, bring it into our world, and just wait for that police siren to go away.
Fucking criminals.
I don't know. Is it because we were talking about pedos?
we're going to get vanned, minute.
Yeah. So, video games.
Yay!
There's a big thing that happened. I think 2014 14? No, maybe 15. Anyway,
With
Hideo
fucking-
Kojima,
Yeah.
Konami.
Fuck Konami.
Right, I've taken a lot of notes about this because there was a lot that happened, but so basically, Hideo Kojima and Konami fell out,
Yeah.
and his name was removed from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
And Konami were just really unpleasant about the whole thing. They were like, "Oh no, they're just taking a long vacation and everything's fine, and please avert your eyes, don't look at us."
Yeah.
So I've sort of ordered my notes weirdly, so I'll just go through them and then eventually we'll have covered everything.
Okay.
So the employees there were under really weird conditions.
Yeah.
It was after Konami went under new management by Hideki Hayakawa, who he wanted to completely reshuffle the company for optimized performance and profit. And his strategy was labeled as mobile first.
Yeah.
Because the mobile games are low effort, low cost,
you can
and high profit.
Churn them out something wrong.
Exactly.
Don't they also didn't they start focusing on arcade games as well? Like, what's it called? There's like a very popular Japanese like arcade machine, and they started doing those.
I don't know. Is it a machine or like an arcade like video game?
It's like a machine that you get in like an old arcade.
Is it
like
pachinko?
I don't know if it's pachinko. It could be pachinko. I'm not sure.
Anyway, yeah, he wanted to do things that were low cost and high profit.
Yeah.
And Kojima's team were high cost.
Keep talking. I'll do a quick Google on that thingy.
But anyway, as part of him reshuffling the company, and he put loads of like really strict checks and limitations and stuff on the employees, like put them under really strict conditions. So whenever they went on a lunch break, they were timed.
Yeah.
Because they had a specific, like everybody does, you have a specific set amount of time, but it's not usually timed and monitored. And if you were like even a minute late, you were punished by being publicly shamed. Like they'd send around emails saying, "Oh, Ryu today was a cunt. He took too long for lunch. Look at him, ha, laugh."
Yeah.
And like I think they had like company meetings where they were like, "Okay, everybody who was late for lunch, come to the front so we can all point and laugh."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Did you find what you were looking for?
No, not really.
Another thing they did was that they would record their employees all the time to see whether they were slacking off or not. Like they had cameras in every room so they could see what their employees were doing, and if any of them were slacking off, like not working hard enough, especially the developers, if developers weren't working as hard as they could, they were reassigned to a menial job, like washing dishes, janitor work, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were not allowed to work on the game. I think there was an amount of time. It's like going on parole. Employees were not allowed to access the internet. They were restricted to a company intranet, which was heavily monitored. They could email each other, use company chat and stuff, but that was monitored constantly. There was like keywords that if they said anything that might harm the company, they'd be on it in a second. And they couldn't. I think they weren't allowed to bring their phones in.
Okay.
So if they wanted to make a phone call, they had to use a company phone, which was also monitored.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a lot of low morale, and they felt like they were in prison.
Well, there was something about was it vacations? Have you gone over that?
No.
Well, like didn't they have the vacations taken off them or something stupid?
Yeah, if they weren't working hard enough, they'd have vacation days.
I remember that in the
taken from them.
Game Journalist headlines.
Yeah. That was part of what happened to Kojima's team. They were changed. Anyway, I'll get to that. Otherwise, I'm skimming through my notes in the wrong way. So, what Kojima wanted for his games were increasingly being ignored. They just wanted him to make a game that made money. If he wanted more budget, then he was screwed.
Yeah.
Which, when you think about it, Metal Gear Solid 5 is an incredible game, given the conditions that we're all under.
They made fucking a killing off of that game.
Yeah, well, his team was shunned by the rest of the company because they were seen to be wasting money. Konami wanted to spend as little as possible and make as much as possible, which is why they focused on mobile games so much. And Kojima's team were demoted to contractors rather than full-time employees. So they were being paid less. They didn't have vacation days anymore, which I think is where that came from. They took them away from them. They were like, you're on contract, so if you want money, you work for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, around this time, Konami listed a games development job for a new employee to lead a Metal Gear Solid game that they wanted to do without Kojima.
Yeah.
I think this was before it was public that they'd had a falling out and they removed his name from the game and stuff.
Do you reckon that was what the Metal Gear Survive thing is?
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
Fuck me.
And around that same time, they cancelled Silent Hills. And
I was pissed off, man.
Yeah, and they pulled PT from the PlayStation Store.
That demo was amazing.
It was so cool, and you can't play it anymore. I still have it in my library, but I can't download it because it's not on the server anymore. In a few years, if you wanted to sell a PlayStation with PT on it, you could probably make a killing off that.
People are already doing it. People are already selling them with... The only game on it is PT, and they're going for fucking just stupid amounts of money.
I wish I'd kept it because I want to sell mine and get a PS4 Pro.
Yeah, me too. You'd think Konami would have more faith in Kojima. I mean, this is a man who made a boss battle where you had to switch controller ports and shit.
Yeah.
What game is it where... I think it was set in like the 60s, something like that. Is that the third one?
Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. There was that woman on the motorbike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that game, there's a boss fight where you have to fight an old sniper guy, very old man. There was like 3 ways you could fight him. You could fight him legit, right? Like snipe him out and whatnot.
Yeah.
You could snipe him when you first see him in like, I think you're supposed to, I forgot where you were, like really early in the game, you could just snipe him and kill him there.
Yeah.
So you'd have to do the boss battle. Or you could turn your PlayStation's clock forward a week and he dies of old age.
Yeah.
Like, how did they not trust a man who made that game to just do what he wanted?
Yeah,
you could throw money at him, like, do whatever the fuck you want, idiot.
Exactly. It's because of this new guy, this Hideki Hayakawa, who just wanted money. He didn't care. It's something I'm seeing a lot lately, where games that are made by small companies are far, far better than like the games that Ubisoft and
Senua's Sacrifice, mate.
Yeah.
Ninja Theory.
Like Ubisoft and EA will just churn out crappy corporately managed
like,
games, and
the new NBA 2K18. It's a £40 game or a $60 game in America, because I don't think there's a big NBA presence over here. So it's a $60 fucking game in America that's got a heavy microtransaction presence. You can get like, I think it was like 40 or 450,000 in-game currency for like $100.
Wow.
And it's like, why do that? In a mobile game, fair enough, right? Take adverts out first if you're a mobile game.
Yeah.
But like in a game that you've already spent $60 on, why would you need to spend an extra $100 on it to get this in-game currency to progress?
Yeah.
It's fucking disgusting.
But yeah, that's
2K games, by the way, not like EA.
Well, there's a lot of companies that aren't thinking about they aren't thinking about their games as gamers. They're thinking about their games as money.
Yeah, they just see the numbers. They don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's really upsetting for somebody who loves games.
Yeah.
So,
it's why going on a bit of a tangent, but I mean, like, it's why Sony's faith in Naughty Dog is so refreshing and amazing.
Yeah, exactly. They just like do it.
They don't micromanage them at all.
Well, Sony's slogan is like for the gamers or for the players.
For the players, yeah.
Which is,
I mean, I'm not going to say Sony's the best company in the world. At the end of the day, they are a company and they're all about profit.
Yeah, exactly.
But
at least they understand what the target audience wants.
I think they care about us enough to let people like Naughty Dog just pitch an idea for a game and then run off and do what the fuck they want with it.
Make something the actual target audience is going to love.
Yeah.
Rather than you just seeing your target audience as a place to get your money from.
Yeah. I really want Sony to partner with Kojima Productions now.
What?
Kojima Productions, because Kojima's made his own company anyhow.
Yeah, no. Did you not know that Sony's already partnered with?
I thought they were because.
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
So, yeah, Kojima was removed from Metal Gear Solid 5. They lied and said he's just taking some time off work. Meanwhile, they shut down Kojima Productions Studios, the LA one.
Yeah.
Just closed it down. There's some like really sad photos of it just empty.
Wow.
So Kojima left, and he took his company, Kojima Productions, and despite his chances of making it on his own, he was like, fuck it, I've got a bit of money. I'm going to try. I want to make games that I like. It's a shame he had to leave Metal Gear Solid behind, because that has been his baby for so many years.
Yeah.
And it just, at the time, I was so angry that anybody would do that to somebody. That's their passion.
It's very rare that I get angry for someone else. And
Yeah,
in
exactly.
That moment, I was like proper pissed off.
Yeah.
But I think it's both. It's upsetting that he's had to leave Metal Gear behind, but it's really refreshing. I'm looking forward to what he does next.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure if
Death Stranding
if Metal Gear Solid is what he made while under those conditions, imagine what he can do
with creative freedom.
Exactly. So he wanted to start his company under his own flag, have some control over. Well, I can't really speak for him, but I imagine that's what he wanted. Yeah. And then the good guys at Sony were like, "Hey, you've made some really good games for our systems, like so many PlayStation classics are Kojima games.
Yeah.
So, you know, come and join the ranks of Naughty Dog and make us some good fucking games."
I hope they give Kojima the exact same freedom they give Naughty Dog as well. That'd be pretty cool. Because I thought Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear 5 came out for Xbox as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
So I haven't been keeping up with gaming news in the last like year or two as much as I used to.
Well, it was out on PC, so that's enough to say it wasn't exclusive.
But yeah, no, I was hoping that Sony would do that, partner with him, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah, me too.
Because first, I mean, it's a good home for Kojima. I think he's familiar with the platform, and Sony can be like with Naughty Dog, give him what they want and just let him run with it. But also because I'm gonna have so much fun with all the salty Xbox fanboys.
He's such a genius though as well. Have you seen his studio?
Yeah.
Have you seen it? He just set it out to just be inspirational. He's got like walls of art, and you go through the front door and you're greeted by this giant statue. It's just really cool.
I like how he's like best friends with Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, because it was going to be in Silent Hills one.
Yeah.
I bet he'll use him for something else.
Death Stranding?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I don't know if I keep... Whenever I tell you about a game... Right,
no, I have seen a clip from Death Stranding.
You've not seen the first trailer? There's been, I think
no,
there's like 2 trailers.
Was it like by a river or a swamp or something?
He was naked. He had like some weird like dog tag USB looking things around his neck.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I think he had like an umbilical cord or something coming out of him. And he was connected to a baby. And he picked it up when he started crying, and then the baby disappeared, and there were just like oily handprints crawling away from him. Fucking weird as shit trailer, but it got me so hyped for a game I don't even know anything about. All I knew was Norman Reedus was in it. There was some beached whales and some people floating in the sky. But I was so excited to play that game. And then they brought out a new trailer who has fucking Mads Mikkelsen in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Kojima doing stuff, and I'm glad that he beat the whole Karoshi system. Yeah,
I don't know that part of the industry, part of the working world is even connected in any way to Salarymen or Karoshi, but I just wanted some way to bring it home for sort of us and the people that we intend this podcast for.
Yeah.
And also just to show that it's not just salarymen that have a hard time in Japan. Yeah. Like, Japan kind of sucks for
pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
If you're not a salaryman, you're getting fucked over by Konami. If you're not getting fucked over by Konami, you're just a poor housewife.
The only people in Japan that have a perfect life must be the people that are making the decisions that are killing people off. So
yeah. Or the people that are fucking the system and living in steel crates on top of buildings.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're a girl in Japan and you're like super attractive, your only option basically is to become an idol, which is a hellish life.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's no fun either.
Fucking, I don't know, like, probably don't know much like about their culture, but I'm sure there's some jobs out there that are worth getting in Japan.
Yeah.
Fucking Karoshi though, mate, brutal.
Well, there are a lot of YouTubers that show what their life is like in Japan. I remember there was one that I found one night that I ended up watching. It was this girl that she was American and she moved to Japan, and she was talking about how hard it was for her to just get her waitress job, and that it wasn't even anything to shout about. But then also there was the Karoshi, the guy who studied Karoshi by doing it for a week.
Yeah.
Ash just wrote that he really needs to pee on the whiteboard. So, and I'm pretty much done anyway, so...
Good, because I'm absolutely fucking at my limit, mate. It's gonna come out.
We got the creative challenge. I'll be quick with this one, so... No, I didn't say okay, Google! And I didn't say we get there quick. Right, so for the visual challenge, I was thinking to try and create... Just basically the project that I had in uni that started this. Just make something awareness style, like a short animation, a poster, just a graphic. What I did for mine, which I thought was really cool, was at the end of the whole like informative animation that I did, there was this white sheet, and there was blood dripping onto it.
Yeah. And
slowly the blood pooled into a red circle. And then that sort of pulls up, and it turns out it's the Japanese flag.
Yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, and for this is really stupid, but
okay.
For the audio one, I was thinking to create like a anime opening theme.
Yeah.
For an anime about Karoshi.
Super depressing.
Yeah, I thought that would be quite cool. Yeah, so when you've done that, tweet it to us at UT2cast. If you don't do that, but you are working on something, then we would love to see it, so please tweet that at us.
And if you are working on something, please don't work 80 hours on it.
Yeah.
Plus overtime.
Please work normal hours. And I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. We also have a website, ut2cast.podbean.com. And we'll see you in the next episode. Ash is physically shaking from how much he needs a piss. So
thank you for listening.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
I was definitely intrigued by the Karoshi stuff. Yeah. I'm also kind of...
Well, me too. That's why I wanted to do a podcast about it, because I thought it was really interesting, something that people don't really talk about or know about. So,
so we'll catch you the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.